Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland and today I have a mini album for GoGo Getaway. I've already shared this album as part of our November Cybercrop, so you may have seen my live introduction there and I showed it there, but here is the proper process video for you, and I'll post the photos as well, of course. Okay, so I'm making a pocket style mini album, and I'm taking pieces of card or paper here that are 8 inches by 12, and then I'm scoring them down the middle. There you go, I'm scoring that one there, and then the other way as well, and I'm folding them in half long ways so that I create this really long piece that's 12 by 4 inches. Score and fold in the middle then gives me pages like this, you can see, that end up with every page being kind of 6 by 4 inches. I'm going to stitch along the bottom edge of each one, but also I actually went around the whole 3 sides of each side. Does that make sense? I hope so. To create pockets with machine stitching, so that my album does not fall apart at a later date. So yeah, I've just done it with my machine. I've used navy thread on this one. So I'm mostly using my my October hip kit. I've pulled out all the blues and the pinks because of the mood board that I'm following for the GoGo Getaway November Cybercrop mood board challenge that was set by me. So I've pulled out all the things that I can from that kit that relates to that mood board, particularly paying attention to the colours, the polka dots, and all of the kind of autumnal things that were in there, the warm and cosy stuff, and the plaid patterns and those kind of things. Okay, so there is the basic part of my mini book. All my pages there are done, and now and the pockets created. So now I have got to sew through the spine. Now there is no way that 10, so there are 5 of these pages, but of course they're doubled over, so effectively that's 10 sheets of pattern paper or cardstock. There's just no way that's going to go through my sewing machine, so I'm going to pierce holes and hand stitch. I think that's going to be the easiest way. So I just trimmed off the edges there, so where I'd folded them over, there was some slight overlap, so I've just trimmed off the edges so they're exactly flush for each pocket, and now I've pierced holes through the spine, and I'm just going to go hand sew with a needle and 6 strands of embroidery thread through all of the pages and bind them together in that way. I'm making an absolute mess of this, by the way. Even though I've measured the holes and I've made sure that they are equally spaced, getting the needle through 5 lots of these pages was really hard, and I really didn't do it very well at all. I had to do several attempts. So what I needed to do was, once the holes were pierced, I needed to then line them all pages up together and then paper pierce them with my piercing tool onto my mat so that they were exactly aligned and perfect, and then that way I was able to get the needle through the holes through each of the 5 pages, and then do my back stitch. So once I actually get started, it's fine, but it just took me a little while to master that. For some reason I just really struggled to get that started, but once it was, the concept is basic, but for some reason the execution was a bit tricky. But anyway, now I'm all good and it's going through really well. I have to occasionally re-pierce the hole. It's more to line it up. The holes are there, they just needed to get them all straight so that my needle could go through easily, and now I'm just doing a back stitch. I say 6 strands of embroidery thread. I left a long tail one end, and then I'm finishing up at the same end that I started, and I'm just going to tie a knot, and that's going to be in the internal part of the album, so it's going to be in the middle of the album, not the outside. And then I'm just going to trim that knot down, and then I'm going to apply a small amount of wet glue, just PVA glue to it, to the knot, to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. I'll do that later off camera, so I can then just leave it to sit for a couple of hours to really dry and harden up properly. Just stops the knot from undoing at a later date. So now I'm using an oval punch to put a notch into the end of each one of these pockets. By the way, I should say, I should have said this at the beginning, but I'll say it now, that this album was inspired by one that Paige Evans made. It's actually a cut file, but by someone else, not by Paige, that's available on the Silhouette store. I think it might be Laurie Whitlock, I'm not 100% sure, but I didn't use the cut file. I just made it myself because it was really easy to do it the way that I did it with the sewing, rather than the cut file has like tabs where you can put the pockets together. But this idea, I didn't make it up myself. It was done by somebody else first, but I've just taken this concept of this mini book and put it together for my own purposes. So yeah, I mean, there's so many ideas out there, isn't it? We should always use them, yeah, so that was where the inspiration for this style of mini book came from. So thanks, Paige. Okay, so all my notches are done. I've now cut all of my little inserts as well for my pockets. So I just cut pieces of cardstock that were, oh goodness, about 5.5 by 3.5, something like that, 5 by 3.5 maybe. And then I've cut little tabs with my tab punch and stuck them on the edges. I'm now making the sleeve to go over the front of my book. So the original mini books that I looked at for this didn't have this sleeve, but I felt that it would be a nice thing to do. So I just took a piece of cardstock, paper, even pattern paper, and created this large sleeve. It's quite wide because I wanted it to form part of my front cover. I've stitched around the edges and I've just stitched it together. Now my mini book obviously grows in size when I fill it. So this sleeve has been remade about 6 times. I've had to take it apart, redo it, and then I've had to expand it because it wouldn't fit around the book when it was complete. So I literally just kept taking it apart and making it work. So, and I actually put some pom-pom trim on. You can see there I've added the pom-pom trim around the edge of the sleeve now, yeah, it looks really lovely. I've added stitching as well, but like I said, I did have to remake this sleeve multiple times once the mini book was complete, because it was so fat that I couldn't fit the sleeve round it. Silly me, obviously that was very obvious that was going to happen, so I don't know why I didn't think of it in advance. I figured that it wouldn't be that fat, but it was. I added so much bulk to the album. It's unreal how big it grew, even though I was really conscious of keeping things flat and not using, say, chipboard, for example. Although I did use some chipboard. But anyway, silly me. Right, so I'm now just sorting out my front cover. So the sleeve is effectively my front cover, and I'm decorating it. So when I say I had to remake the sleeve several times, I just had to expand the back rather than change the front. So the front remains the same. But you can see here that I've added the word Aldenham, which is, I've used thickers from the Avenue by Jen Hadfield, Pebbles, that's the word I was looking for. So I've used those stickers. They weren't from the kit that I was using for this, but these worked really well. They were from the Avenue collection. I had them in my stash. I got those from Lottie Loves Paper. Yeah, I'm just adding some words now. So underneath Aldenham, I'm adding the words Country Park, because that was where we went for the day. And those words Country Park are from the Simple Stories Cozy Days sticker book. So I'm using a lot of Simple Stories Cozy Days in this album. Yeah, just adding a couple of tickets at the top there and some leaves, because this is a very autumn style mini album. So I wanted it to feel autumnal, yeah, so at the bottom I've added some mushrooms. They're fussy cut from a journaling card. I'm now adding some little word stickers or labels, phrases, those kind of things, all from Simple Stories Cozy Days. Yeah, it's I love all the little details that you can put on a mini book. You know, you need small things when you're embellishing a mini book. So enamel dots, stickers from a sticker book, all that kind of stuff works really, really well. So that's my front cover done. I do add some Bramble Fox mushrooms to it later on as well. But for now, I'm now just going to start off with my internal pieces, so the cards that go into each of the pockets. So there's 5 pages, each with 2 pockets, which means I have 10 inserts I need to make. So I've made all these little cards. Now most of them I think are 5 by 3.5 inches. If I was cutting to size, that was the size I made, but I also have a couple of journaling cards that I thought I would like to use. So I've used those, and they're only 3 by 4. And I think there's one pocket that's taller, or maybe not. So anyway, as long as they fit inside the pockets and they don't protrude too much, it doesn't matter. And they can definitely be smaller than what's the size of the biggest size that could fit inside the pocket, if you know what I mean. So for each one of those cards that I've already cut and put inside my pockets, I'm now cutting tabs to go on them, so I've got something to hold onto when I pull them out. So this is a Fiskars squeeze punch, a little tab. It's one of my most used punches. It's one of those real staples that just gets used all the time for various things. Anytime I want to make a tab, this is obviously ideal and absolutely perfect. So I've just cut two of those, two from each colour, and then I've sandwiched the card in between, I believe that I stitch around every single card as well on my sewing machine, and therefore capture the tab in place as well. So that was how I've made those, and I've positioned them at different points on the tabs too. Okay, I'm going to switch through to a flip through now.
Right, so here is a flip through of this little, or very big really, mini book. So you can see they have a couple of Bramble Fox perspectives there, but most of this collection is Maggie Holmes Marigold and Cozy Days by Simple Stories. There we go. So this sleeve just comes off, goes to one side, and then I've got some journaling on here, and then flip open. Every page has a pocket, and they're all double-sided. They are sometimes a little bit fiddly to get back in the pocket, so and there we go, that's that page and that pocket. This is a little envelope that has some photos in. Okay. Cute, hey. So some of my pockets are journaling cards rather than ones that I have made, and then I've got some journaling on these as well. I think this is the only one that's plain, but I just love that print so much. I left it as it was. Okay, then this is where we went to feed the ducks. We had lots of fun there, so I've included lots of ducks. Actually they weren't ducks at all, they were geese. There you go, that one. Then that one there with the pumpkins, cute. You know what, I've made so much from this collection that I hardly had any pumpkins left whatsoever to put in this album, which is a little bit annoying, but there you go. I love this vellum, so pretty. Okay, then this page, I've got a little flip up here. There we go, just opens out to reveal my journaling there. That's just a pretty page. Then this one here is the only tag or internal card that goes this way round. And in here I have a little pocket, and I've got two photos, both of which are backed but don't have anything on, and then a little tag with some journaling. Could have put something on the back of there, couldn't I? I missed a bit. And then on the back of this, I've just got some more journaling there. Okay, then this page, flip up there. Okay. Anytime there was plain back, like on journaling cards, for example, I just put some vellum over or another piece of pattern paper. There's some more pumpkins. And this one, oh, this one opens. There we go. It's a terrible photo. It's very overexposed, but I did my best with it. Yeah, and then a little pumpkin shaker pocket in there, filled with Spiegelmom Scraps sequins, and then the final pocket there. There we go. And there's nothing on the back because my album was exploding at this point. So then we just pop the sleeve back on. And there you go.
Okay, so that was the final album. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I made it, and you seeing all the completed pages and all the little interactive pieces as well, because you just can't see as much on photos when it's an interactive mini book like this. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this layout. It's not even a layout, a mini book even. Yeah, thank you so much. That was Nikki Rowland for GoGo Getaway.